Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to Spirit Speakeasy. I'm Joy Giovanni, Joyful Medium. I'm a working psychic medium, energy healer, and spiritual gifts mentor. This podcast is like a seat at the table in a secret club, but with mediums, mystics, and the spiritual luminaries of our time. So come behind the velvet ropes with me and see inside my world as I chat insider style with profoundly gifted souls. We go deep, share juicy stories, laugh a lot, and it wouldn't be a speakeasy without great insider secrets and tips. You might even learn that you have some gifts of your own. So step inside the Spirit Speakeasy. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome back for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. Today, we are going to continue on with our Archangel series, Healing with the Angelic Realm, Experience Working with Archangel Gabriel. This is actually the fourth in our series. But before I dive into that, I have a whole bunch of information prepared for you on that. But if you are only wanting to hear that, go ahead and skip ahead. I wanted to chat with you guys for a little bit at the top of this episode about a potential addition to our episodes. I really was thinking about the podcasts that I enjoy as a listener, the ones that I listen to really regularly. I have kind of my little list of favorites, and then I'm always adding in and taking some out. And the episodes and podcasts, the shows that I really love, the hosts are often kind of sharing about themselves and their lives. And I've had a handful of you ask, hey, can you share more about you personally and what's going on in your life, particularly as part of these solo chat episodes. Now, I will tell you, I have these two voices in my head about this. So this one voice, which is the place, I guess, where I'm still working on my own healing. Like I always tell you guys, we're all still works in progress, including me and probably especially me. This one voice is very echoing of like my family in Philly growing up, my family in Boston, where I actually grew up. It's that kind of like, well, who do you think you are? Who wants to hear about that? Who do you think, like, why do you think you're special that anyone wants to hear what's going on in your life? And then I have this other voice kind of on my other shoulder, if you will, of my business coach saying, it is creating connection. It's okay to open up a little and let people know a little bit about you. And it does create connection with people. And it does help people have a more full understanding of you and why you love this work and kind of give them a window inside. So this is my conundrum. So on these solo chat episodes, I really am thinking about just starting to, at the top like this, share a little bit about what's going on in my life at the time of recording. I do tend to try to record these a couple weeks ahead when I'm doing really well. I'm several weeks ahead. This episode, I'm recording just the weekend before it's going to be released. I'm a little wary about talking about like current events and things just because my overall intention with this podcast is to create a resource so that years into the future, if someone's wanting to learn about, like in this episode, Archangel Gabriel and how to experience working with Gabriel, they can still find this as a resource. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. You can leave it in the comments wherever you're watching the show. You can email me directly, joy@joyfulmedium.com. Do you guys want to start hearing a little quick chat about what's going on with me, my life updates, or my thoughts on things that are going on in the world? Some of you want to know even what coffee I'm drinking when I'm on here. This is just my standard. I got these pods, like I was telling you guys, that are biodegradable. So biodegradable pod coffee, which is actually really good coffee. It's like a French roast and some stevia and some sugar-free creamer. So I'm going to take a quick sip. Okay, so in the spirit of sharing, I'm going to tell you just a couple highlights of things going on with me. At the time I'm recording this, last week, so this week has been just a full busy week, but the week before, I just had my lifelong bestie in town. Maybe not lifelong, but since I was about 19, we've been friends for, I guess, 27-ish years now. She was here for just a super quick trip. For the last few years, we've been trying to make it a point to get together once a year ish. We're several months off our mark. Some of you might remember if you follow me on social that we went to New Orleans last year, April of 2023. So she came to San Diego from Vegas, July of 2024, which was great fun. And she just came in on a Wednesday evening and left on Saturday. So it wasn't a super long trip, but we hung out. She stayed at my place, of course. We had like a real mellow time. I mean, we did things like go to the zoo, and then we came home and walked about a half a mile, maybe a little bit more, to a place here in town called Seaport Village, which you can Google. It's right on the ocean. I did post some stories about it. So if you follow me on social at Joyful Medium, you would have seen those stories. They're not permanent posts just because, like I said, I don't know if anyone wants to even see what's going on with me personally or just wants to hear about my work as a medium. So we walked down there, which was a lovely walk. It was beautiful. We had some tacos right on the ocean. Seaport Village is like this little collection of stores and cute little touristy shops, and it's between some of the hotels right on the bay there, right on that inlet. Coronado Island's right across from it, so you can see that. You can kind of almost see parts of it from my place where I live downtown. But we walked down there, we had our little tacos by the water, and we just, then we walked home. She also is an incredible photographer. It's not her profession or her trade, and she's not like technically formally trained in any way. She's just really, really good at it. So most of the photos that you see on my website that look like professional headshots and things, she took those in her backyard in Vegas a couple years ago. She took some more out here of me just kind of on our walks and when we were out and about. She's just really, really good at it. It's a skill. I keep telling her, like, you can make a whole business out of this. She's busy enough. She has 2 older kids and she's got 14-year-old triplets at home. So she's quite busy. So some of our time was just chilling out, downtime at the house. The next night we kind of took it easy in the day, had ordered in some takeout, and then at night went to a dueling piano bar. You can actually find her on Instagram and TikTok under at 50s in Vegas, like 50s in Vegas. That's my bestie. She definitely posted some things about our night out. She had like kind of like a joke going where she was going to dress really fancy, because those of you that have been to San Diego know San Diego's not a very fancy dress town. Yeah, there are certain things here where you can dress up, but it's fairly semi-casual, business casual, I guess. When you're going out, you don't necessarily, there was a lot of people in there, tourists, when we went out, that were like flip-flops and jeans and t-shirts. We walked again. Actually, we Ubered there and walked home, or like lifted there. We went to a dueling piano bar down the street, which is super fun. They play music and everyone sings, and there's a bar there. And so that was a lot of fun. We did that. Honestly, I think we were home shortly after 10 p.m. though, and just had a real easy time. She is the kind of friend that we don't necessarily need to be doing anything specific to feel like we're having a good time. So those were mainly the things we did. We know when she got here on the Wednesday, we walked down to have some like chips and salsa, because both of us love that, and some guac. So yeah, that's basically what we did. But we just had some friend time. She introduced me to a new lip gloss, because in a lot of ways she's like a big sister to me. So I'm always getting makeup tips from her, and she'll tell me like, you got to order this shirt, you got to order this strapless bra, you got to. So she's my authority on most things like that. I get tons of recommendations from her. So those of you that are watching the video version of this, I got my new lip gloss poppin' that she turned me on to. I picked a different color. Our skin tones are slightly different. So yeah, that was my time with my bestie Heather. And the other thing I wanted to share is, in the last episode that released and in an upcoming episode, my speech sounds a little different. It's actually okay right now. But the other thing that's going on with me that I haven't really shared about is I'm having some dental work done, which I have this really strong dental phobia with me. I mean, I have it about doctors and needles and things like that too, which is a whole nother story. But I've worked on it over the years. It's much better than it was. And I do have some meditation tools like I teach you here to help with it. But somehow within the last year, 2 of my bottom back molars cracked, the same one on each side. One actually like broke off. I don't know how it happened. I don't know when exactly it happened. I just know that it happened and it was freaking me out. So I'd been working with a local dentist. They're really great. And I went in, and the timing was that I thought I was going to be done and have everything completely finished by the time Heather came into town, but it didn't quite work out that way. There actually was like a longer lead time on what it is crowns that I was having put on, because the teeth were okay, just broken. I did learn from my dentist that the same teeth on both sides are like the first molars that we get. So usually the first ones to kind of have issues with people. So I felt not so bad about myself because of that. Have you ever had crowns done? I had never had anything like this done. So there was a day several weeks ago where I guess we're probably almost 6 weeks in now, 5 or 6 weeks into this. They did the prep, which was basically like grinding down the teeth. They put so much numbing in my whole face, my whole mouth to do this. And I really just focused on breathing, on meditation techniques, and the dentist and the dental tech are just really incredible. So that helped quite a bit too. So I get these temporary crowns put on. I come home. I actually had to take a nap that day, which is not typical for me after all the numbing. I needed to go to sleep while that was coming back. My feeling was coming back in my face. So I did the temporary crowns, one on each side. So I was on like no solid food whatsoever, everything liquefied or applesauce style, lots of soup. So I did that for the first couple weeks. And then right before Heather was going to come, one of the temporary crowns broke off. I don't know how it happened. I was just eating only soft things. I was really trying not to chew. One of them broke off. I was freaking out. I ended up having to reschedule a client. It was a big deal. I called into the dentist and they were like, "Oh, your permanent crowns are done. We got them a week early." They kind of say, "Oh, it could be about up to 3 weeks for the lab that they send it off to like create this." Just because I think everything's backed up in the world at all times now, right? So they were, "Oh, by chance, we have the permanent ones. Come on in." So I made the appointment. I rescheduled my clients that day because I was freaking out. And so on some of them, what you're hearing is the temporary crowns and the way it was like affecting my speech, just because I guess maybe I'm really sensitive to having I don't just felt different in my mouth. I know it's like such a weird thing to say, but on some of them, it sounds like I have like cotton in my mouth, or I'm like stumbling over words or slurring words a little bit. That was why. So I go in, they put the one permanent crown on. It's perfect. They go to put the second one on, and the tech calls the dentist in and they're like, "Oh, they made it. It fits okay, but they made it a little short." So I guess it wasn't like quite touching to the bottom where it needed to. I didn't want to, I was fine to not look. I trust them. They're the experts, right? We got to trust other experts in their field. So they said, "We're not really satisfied with the way they made this one. We're going to put on another temporary on this side. We're going to put you again 3 weeks out, and we're going to send this back to the lab and have them do it again," which I'm super appreciative of. Like, no problem for me. Totally have patience in this area. Thank you so much for wanting it to be correct. Like, I totally appreciate that. So I have no issue. So this is where we are right now. I have one permanent and I have one temporary. We're probably like a little over a week out from when I can get the permanent one. So I've had this temporary again for a couple weeks. I could chew on one side, but I still have to be incredibly careful. I'm still doing lots of soups and applesauce style things. I can have liquid. I'm going to have another sip of my coffee as we're talking about this. So that is basically, in a nutshell, in a 13-minute nutshell, what's going on with me. I'm really appreciative of this crown work and so excited to get it done and just be finalized with that. But the other little last bit that I wanted to chat about is, I wonder if this is going on for you guys too right now, where it just feels like 1,000 things at once. So not only this dental stuff, I got my best friend coming in. Had like a really busy client schedule this last week. I have some insurances that are getting ready to expire that I need to renegotiate, two different ones, actually. I've got my grown kiddos that have their own things going on in their lives that are feeling stressful that they're reaching out about. I actually am now moving into the process of renewing my lease at home. I had just moved the office last month. So it's been a really busy time. Have you guys been feeling that energy already of just like almost like one of my classes that I'm in, I was talking about this and they said, oh, it feels like almost like you're in a batting cage with lots of softballs coming at you. And I was like, yes, that's exactly the visual that I had in my mind. So I kind of feel like I'm in a fast pitch softball batting cage with just lots of things coming from every direction. And it seems like something else all the time. So are you feeling that energy yet? Sometimes I'm a little bit ahead of the energy that everyone else is going to get. So if you're not yet, kind of see if you can be preparing things to buckle up for that type of energy, because that's the phase that I'm in right now, is lots of things all at once. Like I said, I am about to renew my lease at home. So for the see, I am still stumbling over my words a little bit because I do still have one of these temporary crowns in. So when you hear that, just know like you and I have a secret. That's why. Those of you that watch the video version, this is my house that I'm in, my apartment downtown that I rent. My lease is coming up in September, but they gave me kind of like an early renewal option, which I really was kind of back and forth about. Nobody likes moving. Like, I mean, maybe you do, but I don't know anyone that does. If you do, let me know. I don't love having to pack up my whole place and move. So, on one hand, I didn't really want to move. On the other hand, I was like, well, could I be saving money? Could I be doing this a different way? But after my bestie was here and was like, you cannot move. You need to stay here at least another year. So that really helped me come to the decision that I think I am going to renew my lease. So likely you guys will be seeing me with this same background in this same corner of my living room, my office half of my living room for another year. So that is also happening. And yeah, that is just kind of the quick notes of what is going on with me personally. I have had this Gabriel episode kind of written out for a while now and just hadn't felt like it was time to share it yet. I don't want to stack them too close together because I know some of you are here for more of the mediumship topics. Some of you are here for just whatever we're going to talk about, which I appreciate both buckets of both sides of that street, I guess is the way I should say it. So everything that's happening in our current world, I really feel like Gabriel is the perfect archangel to be talking about at this time. I'm going to really dive into this. It's a deep dive is what it is. And I'm going to kind of like I've done with the other archangel episodes. And by the way, I'll link the other archangel episodes in the show notes in case you missed any of those. I'm going to do the exercise at the end of this episode to teach you how to connect with Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, how to sense or work with or whatever word you like in there. But I'm going to give you an actual experience. I'm going to do it a little different than we've done some of the others. I'm trying to make them just slightly different each time so you can have different tools. And just know you can swap in any of the archangels into that meditation or that exercise. Like if you say, you're going to learn this Gabriel one today, but say in a few days, you're like, I really want to work with Raphael this way, you can do it with Raphael as well. So it's not exclusive. And a lot of the stuff is not so in the box as we sometimes want to make it. There's a fluidity, there's a creativity, there's a divine inspiration available. I'm going to keep sipping on this coffee because I feel like I've got a long day and I need a little bit more caffeinated. So excuse me while I sip. Okay, so I'm going to just really start into telling you all about Gabriel. Gabriel's name actually is from Hebrew origin, and it means God is my strength or a hero of God. Gabriel is the angel that was thought to be able to bring the divine message to earth and really convey it. He or she is referred to as kind of both. And I know we've talked about this before in the Archangel episodes, but if this is the first Archangel episode you're listening to, I want to reiterate some of these things for you. Gender is a man-made construct that applies more to our physical bodies and physical organs that we have. Angels don't have the same physical organs or the same physical bodies as human beings. So therefore, gender is a construct that exists in in this world, but doesn't apply to the angelic realms in the same way. I have heard Gabriel referred to with both masculine and feminine pronouns. And I actually remember when I was a kid hearing about Gabriel and imagining or picturing or understanding Gabriel as a female. And then I worked, over the years with Gabriel and experienced more of that masculine energy with Gabriel. For me, Archangel Gabriel is really a 50-50 blend of these masculine and feminine energies all the time. So feel free to use he or she pronouns with Gabriel. Either is appropriate. Either will be answered and is really not as big of a deal as we make it over here. So I want to talk a little bit about the history of Gabriel, kind of through different texts and where you might have heard or seen of Gabriel before. This is my little disclaimer that I put on here. To be clear, we all have different beliefs, and I'm going to mention some different systems of faith that Gabriel is mentioned in or a part of and how he's applicable there. And it's in no particular order, with the intention of education and understanding and having the greatest respect for everyone's faith and belief system. I'm in no way trying to sway you to a different belief system or insult anyone else's belief system. Any errors or omissions are unintentional. And if one of these belief systems is yours and there's something incorrect, like, feel free to fact check me, no problem. I have done research, but I'm not a perfect person. So it's okay to correct me if I have forgotten something or if I've gotten something wrong. And like I always say, I'm a lifelong student and a person of faith. And I just find it intriguing that we see these angels, and you're going to see specifically Gabriel, across so many belief systems. That's the part of it that is fascinating to me, that these belief systems don't agree on very much, quite frankly. Sometimes they're very different in nature, in teaching. There are some through threads, but particularly with Gabriel, I find it fascinating that Gabriel is acknowledged, is a primary figure, an important angel in these various belief systems. So that is my reason for even mentioning these different faith communities with the highest intention and respect. So now I'm going to move into to that segment. I put that little disclaimer. In Judaism, Gabriel is actually a helper to Daniel and a warrior, like a warrior angel for God's cause. So that's more kind of Old Testament or, Judaism roots. So Gabriel is even seen in Judaism. And then in the more, I don't want to say more spiritual, but then in the spiritual mysticism of the Kabbalah or Kabbalah, Gabriel oversees one of the branches of the tree of life, the creative force of the foundation. So Gabriel is featured actually in the Kabbalah as the angel of revelation. Gabriel in Kabbalah is a master communicator, and God has assigned Gabriel in that sacred text to be in charge of the tree of life's foundation. So the foundation of the tree of life. In that role, Gabriel connects people to God through messages of faith and helps people rely on their faith in God to make transitions in life. So a pretty important angel in those mystic and traditional Judaic texts, which is kind of cool, I think. In Islam, Gabriel is actually mentioned in the Islamic traditions. His name there is more Jibril, or it's also Jibril in Arabic, which is Jibril with a little tilde or whatever they call it in Arabic over the I. So it's just a different spelling, but same angel, different spelling. In Islam, Gabriel is actually the angel responsible for dictating the verses of the holy book, the Quran, to the Prophet Muhammad. So when in Islam, their Prophet Muhammad receives the sacred text, it is the angel Gabriel who is conveying, giving, saying, impressing the sacred text to their Prophet Muhammad, and then encourages Muhammad and teaches Muhammad how these are to be shared and what is to be done with these sacred texts. But again, we see Gabriel conveying the wisdom and the message of God to to mankind, really. So that is really incredible to me. Oh, I hadn't said this yet, but I will link below my sources, because like I said, I researched some of this. Some of these are not faiths that I am super well versed in. So sources in show notes. um, in more of like the Christian or Catholic traditions, you would have seen the angel Gabriel as the Annunciation. That's a real big one for a lot of us. Depending if you're like Catholic light, you might not know that wording. But Gabriel is considered like an angel of God, strength of God, and is remembered as the angel who came down and told Mary that she would give birth to the Son of God. And that's why Gabriel is the angel of the Annunciation, kind of announcing or bringing this news to Mary that she would become pregnant, that she would be birthing the Son of God into the world. The other, maybe lesser talked about thing in Christianity, Catholicism, that Gabriel is known for is actually the one who not only told Mary that she would be birthing the Son of God, but told Mary that this child is to be called Jesus. That is in the book of Luke. But his first biblical appearance is actually recorded in the book of Daniel, when he is told to explain a vision to the prophet. And he also announces and predicts the birth of John the Baptist, who is a very important biblical figure. So you can see how, whether you believe in any of these faith systems or are part of any of these faith communities, I don't know, for me, it's just fascinating that there is Gabriel across all of these systems of belief. Now, there's also something called biblical archaeology, which is kind of what it sounds like, archaeological finds that relate back to things that are of sacred texts. And there is something really fascinating that I'm going to talk about for just a minute here, called the Gabriel Stone, or the Gabriel Revelation text. It is a stone, like an actual stone, limestone, a pretty large slab of like gray limestone that is inscribed with ink in Hebrew. It was discovered around the year 2000 in Jordan, over there in the Middle East, on the eastern shores of the Dead Sea. So you can look up where that is if you want a geography lesson. You can actually even do some research on this if you're just fascinated like I am about it. You can kind of dig in and see. There's images of it online. It's pretty widely known, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it real quick. So the Gabriel Stone is this like priceless, unique 2,000-year-old stone artifact, and it traces depictions of the Archangel Gabriel in Jewish, Christian, and Islam sacred writings and scriptures. That's what we were just talking about, right? So the stone is cut on one side and has two columns. It's the part that they have is approximately 3 feet tall, and it's covered with Hebrew text. It's made up of 87 lines, like I said, all written in Hebrew. And archaeologists are uncertain, but believe that other pieces exist. They definitely existed before, because it's partial, some of it's partial text. But they haven't found any of the other pieces to date of my research anyway. The Gabriel Stone is believed to be the first example of the angel's name appearing in ink on stone, and earlier mentions of his name are actually found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So Gabriel's been around since the beginning of anyone talking about any of these religions. Gabriel's name has been around. I'm going to take another sip real quick because I'm getting dry. And how fascinating that Gabriel's actually mentioned in these archaeological scrolls and on this archaeological stone, these archaeological discoveries, I guess I should say. So a lot of the text is extremely fragmented, but there are several whole lines, meaning it's a stone. Some of them are either kind of chipped away or pieces missing or not legible, but there are several complete lines of this text that they can read. There is some debate, though, with scholars and archaeologists and historians over the translation and interpretation of some of the text, some of the meaning of the original Hebrew. And it's it's a little bit controversial, right, among scholars. So as we know, Hebrew is an ancient language, and there's a little bit of debate about like the translation of the words and then the meaning of the words, because not everything directly translates into other languages. So there's a bit of a scholarly debate about what the text actually means. Is it literal? Is it prophetic? Is it that's not the purpose we're talking about it for today. So if that part interests you, definitely dive in. I just find it fascinating that here again, Gabriel is mentioned, and the original Hebrew, it's pretty clear that it's his name. Even though they're debating about the words and the meaning of the text, they're not debating about the mention of Gabriel, which is kind of incredible. And it's thought to be dated, this stone is thought to be dated as early as the 1st century BC, which is like the year 4. So it's pretty crazy, right? At a time in history when it was like the second Jewish temple. So if you're looking for like a historical timeline, 4 BCE at the time of the second Jewish temple. The Gabriel stone itself is it still exists. You can maybe not right now see it, but it's currently on display in Jerusalem at the Israel Museum. There's a whole exhibit, and it traces the development of the Archangel Gabriel in these 3 monotheistic religions, which again is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and really just tracing how he moves through all of these different religions. And they've got lots of other elements to this exhibit that they have there. It also displays the Dead Sea Scroll fragments, which mention Gabriel's name as well. The 13th century Damascus Codex, which is another archaeological find, one of the oldest illustrations and manuscripts of the complete Hebrew Bible, a 10th century New Testament manuscript from Brittany, in which Gabriel predicts the birth of John the Baptist and appears to the Virgin Mary, and an Iranian Quran manuscript dated to the 15th or 16th century, in which the angel called Gabriel in Arabic, like we said, reveals the word of God to the Prophet Muhammad. So they have on display at this museum, they have pieces of all of this, which for me is just really incredible. For me, I work with Gabriel, and as you know, or if you're new here, maybe you don't, but as those of you that are not new always hear me saying, it's really about a relationship, having a relationship with these masters, these angels, these teachers, your own personal experiences and relationship. So maybe you're someone who doesn't need validation of this archangel ever existing in anyone else's understanding, knowledge, but just like the nerd in me, to be quite honest, finds it really fascinating that yes, the texts themselves are debated. Yes, the religious systems are debated, but no one's debating the existence of Archangel Gabriel. Like, he's one of the handful of figures that no one's debating. Oh yeah, his name's mentioned. Of course we know who he is. This is who he is to us. This is who he is to us. But no one's debating the fact that he exists, the fact that he appears to humankind, the fact that he delivers messages. So for me, this history and this through thread of Gabriel's appearance across time and space in all of these different religious systems, I just find it fascinating. So that is my nerd tangent. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. I'm going to take another sip, and then we're going to talk about what Gabriel can actually help you with, or what he is assigned to help with, he, she, Gabriel. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. For those of you that are on the audio version, for the pause. So the other little asterisk here that I want to mention is, yes, while these archangels have these certain groups of skills of life needs that they help us with, it's not so in the box black and white where it's like, oh, Raphael helps with healing, I can only call on Raphael for healing. Gabriel helps with communication, I can only call on Gabriel for communication. You can call on any of them for any of the things. I just think it's interesting to know, like, hey, these are the main things, the main qualities, the main characteristics, the main emotions that are kind of assigned or kind of seen with these angels as far as being helpful, but you can call on any of them for any of the things. So if there's one, like say Gabriel just really resonates with you, you feel like you want to create a personal relationship, you can call on Gabriel for anything you'd like. But these are the things that technically, in the box way, that Gabriel helps with. So Gabriel, again, like we were talking about, the Annunciation, the bringing messages through to humankind. Gabriel helps with communication of all kinds. So I really want you to expand your mind and think outside of the box here. It's all kinds of communication, including speaking, writing, music, expressive dance, any way that we are going to express ourselves or communicate something to, whether it's the world, whether it's one individual, whether it's us wanting to communicate to an archangel, to a higher power, to communicate to ourselves within ourselves, right? That inner self talk. Gabriel helps with everything under this umbrella of communication. Gabriel also helps with wisdom and truth. So it's not just communicating, but it's wisdom and communication. It's communicating and receiving truth. So that's a big part of it as well. And really, Gabriel's wonderful to call on for important conversations. So if you're going to have like a family meeting, for example, and you need to share some important information or a need that you have, he's really incredible with important conversations, with helping you clearly convey information, and also with helping you as an individual understand information that's being conveyed to you. So whether it's you're sitting in a lecture hall and you really, are listening to this talk or this lecture and you want to absorb important information, Gabriel can help with that. Or if it's you reading something that you want to really be understanding and having depth of holding on to that information, Gabriel can help with that. There's no topic or area that this is limited to. So even if it's that you, for example, maybe you're an animal communicator or you're interested in that, it's, Gabriel can also help with the understanding of what your pet, what your furry loved one needs. So it's any type of information that you are conveying or being conveyed to you, even if it's within yourself. And again, I always say this, but you can communicate with your own loved ones on the other side. You can talk to them. They can receive that communication. You can also ask Gabriel to help you with that communication and to start helping you understand what they're communicating back. We've talked about this before. It is often, I love you and I'm safe and I'm with you and I'm supporting you. It's not necessarily these like quote unquote messages that media tells us it's going to be, of like, you need to go buy this at the store. It's not really like that. They're not attached to those things anymore. But Gabriel can help with any type of communication, even spirit communication. Gabriel can also help you with spreading your message. So perhaps you feel called in your heart or by your soul to spread a message of, maybe you wrote a book and now you need to enunciate, right? Announce to the world that you have this book. Maybe you want to spread the message of your book or your life story or your findings, or if you're a researcher, the research that you have come across that you want to share with the world. So spreading your own message, Gabriel can help with that. And not anything like announcements. So wedding announcements, birth announcements, Gabriel can help deliver those announcements and can help them to be received with the spirit they were intended. Miscommunication is such a challenge. Sometimes we can be saying something in a very kind and intentional way, and someone can receive it in an offensive way, even though that's not how we mean it. Gabriel can help with announcements in that way, can help with launches. Maybe you have a book or a course or a podcast that you're launching. Gabriel can help with all of that. Any type of sharing information, Gabriel can help with that, because it's not just speaking, it's not just conveying words, it's communicating. It's communicating ideas, communicating emotions, sentiments, any type of sharing of information. Gabriel can help with that. Also, clarity and creativity. So Gabriel's not just going to help with the communication of information, but with the clarity of information. So for example, if you have an announcement to make, you can kind of call in Gabriel as you're writing out the bullet points for the talk you need to give or the announcement you want to create, and ask Gabriel to help you fine tune it in a way that is expressed with clarity and creativity. So again, Gabriel's very out of the box, not necessarily expressing things in the way that we might initially think, but helping us be creative in our expression. Gabriel, if you look through those sacred texts, and if you really look into the things that Gabriel's kind of quote unquote famous for in a spiritual way, it's out of the box. The other thing is inspired action. So if you are kind of sitting with something, maybe you have an announcement to make, maybe you have something that you want to share with your people, right? Your family, your friends, your coworkers, your community. Gabriel can help you to take inspired action, to help you know, okay, here's the best next steps. Here's the timing to share this information. Here's the best way to convey this information. So Gabriel can help with inspired action. And we've been talking about this already, but out of the box solutions. So like I said, sometimes the way that I might think, oh, this is going to be the best way for me to deliver this information, it might not be the best way actually. So if I'm willing to call in and let Gabriel work with me, it can kind of be an out of the box solution to maybe a difficult conversation, or maybe a conversation with a group that is normally a group that wouldn't be receptive to me, for example. So out of the box solutions. And it can also be even in your own life. Maybe you're looking for just some solutions for things you're going through personally, and you're needing to kind of think of a new way. Maybe you've already Googled and the lists that Google's providing are just not working for you. Out of the box solutions. That's Gabriel. So I really encourage you to be thinking out of the box and be available for inspiration out of the box and expand on these. For example, when we're thinking under this umbrella of communication in all of its forms, maybe you want to take a trip and you need to learn a new language as part of this. Or maybe you think like, oh, I just want to have some words of this new language to go, travel to this other land, for example. Ask Gabriel for support with learning a new language, because this new language is going to help you communicate. So it's really thinking out of the box for all the ways that Gabriel can help you. And for me, I also believe that in this relationship building with these archangels, they can continue to teach you other ways that they can help you, other ways that they can show up and work with you. I have learned so much. I keep thinking of actually my healing guides that I work with when I do healing sessions. I've learned so much about using Reiki, about using healing from my guides. They've showed me, oh, okay, you can also do it like this, or this also works like this. Hey, you didn't think of this, or no one's taught you this. Try it this way. So Gabriel can, again, divine inspiration. Gabriel can give you inspired action or help you continue to learn in the way the way you communicate, or additional things that Gabriel can help you with, assist you with, or do with you that you just might not have thought of. You've got to be available for this out of the box inspiration though. And just as a reminder, all archangels are bound by our free will choice and our highest and greatest good. So again, I say this a lot, but it's not a magic wand. It's not, okay, come in, Gabriel, and fix all my life, and I'm not going to work on anything at all. Because sometimes the reason we communicate something a certain way is because of our own past experience. So there might be something unhealed in me, for example, that makes me a little defensive when I communicate about a certain topic. So there's still healing to be done. There's still free will choice for me to make. Do I want to work on this area in myself? Do I want to take this divine inspiration? Do I want to try it this way? There's free will contribution from us that's involved here. And even if you're asking Gabriel to help you communicate something, understand something, if the timing or the thing that you're requesting is not in your highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of everyone involved, it might be a different, like on a different path than you think it's going to be. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Yeah, it's not a magic wand. There's no magic wands. There's no like magic pill we can take to make all of this not involve our free will or our action contribution. Like we got to do our part. And remember that all of the angels are bound by our highest and greatest good. So something, even if we don't understand why something wouldn't be in our highest and greatest good, they have a bit of a advanced picture of our own soul, our own journey, the journey and souls of everyone involved. So if you're thinking, oh, I called in Gabriel and for some reason I tried to do it as I was inspired and this information wasn't received in the way that I felt like it should be, there's something there, right? And we can't control other people's free will choice. So just being aware of all of those elements of it as well. There's always a lot at play. There's always a lot going on. And it's why things aren't so black and white and why they're so multi-layered. And a lot of people like to think of it as multi-dimensional, right? Because there are many dimensions happening all at once right now. So that is a pretty extensive list of all the things that Gabriel can help with. And I mean, like I was saying, even get creative in Gabriel can help you with the way your cells are communicating with each other, the way your brain chemicals and body chemicals are communicating within your body. So any type of communication, no limits, but bound by free will and highest good. Okay, I'm gonna take another sip. Now I want to share with you a little bit about the colors associated with Gabriel, the stones, those of you that like to work with crystals and stones. But again, you don't have to do it that way. I just like to give you additional options, additional information, other things you can play with as you move on your journey. So colors associated with Gabriel, this might be a bit of a controversial answer. As you know, or maybe you don't, when I work with these archangels or any guide or ascended master that I'm going to work with, I like to receive my own information first. What do I mean by that? I like to sit with Gabriel, have an experience of Gabriel, understand the colors that I perceive Gabriel with. I don't immediately go to online search engines and ask everyone else what they think or what their experience is, because it might be different than my experience and there could be thousands of reasons for that. So in this research, I discovered that other people have perceived Gabriel differently than me. So what is commonly out there is people saying that they perceive Gabriel in white and gold and yellows. That's what's commonly being reported when I was doing the research. And of course, I'm not here to say I'm right and someone else is wrong. We can all have different experiences, and that's okay. It's the intention and it's the spirit in which we work in our own personal spiritual work, right? So if you perceive Gabriel in different colors than what I'm saying or than what whoever else online is saying, that's okay. It's just about having some frame of reference to work with. I experience Gabriel mostly in blues, which is not surprising because I started experiencing Gabriel many, many years ago, and then later learned that blue is the color that represents communication. So it's not surprising at all now that I understand that blue typically represents or moves with communication. And some deep purples for me with Gabriel. So all the blues and some purples twisted in. I also understand Gabriel in mixed in with those blues and a little bit of purple, silvers and golds and copper tones, and metallic of the color. So like metallic blue, metallic purple, metallic royal blue. That is just the way I experience Gabriel. Like I said, other people have stated white and gold. I think we can experience any of the angels or ascended masters in white and gold because those are very high vibrational colors. So those don't surprise me at all either. But yeah, for me, it is really the blues. And like I said, in the spiritual work, blue is the color of communication. So I'm this really, you know how it is over time, just the penny drops and it's like, oh, this all makes so much sense. So when I learned that, it made so much sense that I understood Gabriel in blues. The other thing is in artwork and out in the world, when we see Gabriel depicted, Gabriel is often depicted with a trumpet or a horn because of the Annunciation, because Gabriel's making these announcements, sharing this information, right? So when you see artwork and you see the angel with the trumpet or the horn, it's usually a gold or a copper or a silver trumpet. that is probably Gabriel. I mean, read what the artist wrote and titled so you know who they're trying to depict. But if there's no wording, it's probably a depiction of Gabriel, especially if you see an angel with a horn over like a group of people, or over in the Christian tradition, like some sort of depiction of the nativity, Jesus and Mary and Joseph and the and the manger and all of that. Gabriel's the one with the horn. So I'm also not surprised that these metallic tones, golds and silvers and coppers, are often perceived with Gabriel as well, because it's sharing this very high vibrational information, messaging, inspiration with people. Those are the colors associated with Gabriel. Therefore, you will probably not be surprised by the list of stones I'm going to give you. The other thing to know is clear crystal, so clear quartz, which is kind of the white or clear stone that we often see, not to be confused with selenite, which is a very kind of splintery stone. Clear quartz can be used with anyone for any purpose. It's the all healer, so you can use clear quartz too. And remember, you don't have to use stones, but I know a lot of you, like I just have always felt drawn to stones of all kinds, the fancy ones and the pebbles I find on the side of the path. So if you also feel called to working with stones, and it's not that these stones are some kind of magical beings, they're really just a representation, another way to focus that energy, focus your attention, another reminder. So for those of you on the video version, I'm probably going to show a couple of these stones. I have a couple actually that I just realized within arm's reach. But you can also just search up the name of the stone if you want to see the picture of what it looks like. The descriptions are kind of the same, but each of these are pretty different. So the first stone I want to talk about with Archangel Gabriel is lapis. It's a semi-precious stone. It's very deep blue, and it's really always been prized for this like intense color that it has. I don't have anything lapis close to me. It's not the stone that I typically feel drawn to. And the other thing is, if you have in San Diego, there's some really great kind of stone stores. Just see what you feel drawn to, and then you can look at, oh, what is this? What are the properties of this stone? Or you can come back and see like, oh, is this one on the Gabriel list? It's typically the blue stones with Gabriel, but it's expansive. So there's a lot. So lapis is one. Sometimes lapis is seen, it's used in lots of ways, but it has this really intense, deep blue, almost like a royal blue, even a little darker sometimes color. The next one is aquamarine, which is a pale, like it's a spectrum. It can range from like a pale blue to like a light green. Aquamarine typically is kind of like watery blues and blue greens. That's a really lovely color to work with Gabriel. Sapphire, which many of you know, it's a precious gemstone at this point. When it's a quality sapphire, it's a beautiful clear blue color. Raw sapphire, like there's gem grade sapphire, and then there's raw stone sapphire that's not as polished, not as clear. Gem grade sapphire, which actually I don't have in arm's reach, I got it in the other room, is that clear blue gemstone that you often see in like pendants or sometimes on rings. There is sapphire that is raw and might not appear as like clear blue or bright blue. It's often unpolished. So sometimes, depending on the resources you have near you, wherever you live, sometimes you can get sapphire that is not jewelry quality, that is still sapphire, that is a little bit less expensive. Kyanite, which for those of you on video version, this is the ring that I have here. Kyanite is a really cool stone. It's actually one of the first stones that I felt drawn to when I first started like actually working with stones as part of my spiritual practice. Kyanite is really in and of itself supportive with communication and more of that like spiritual communication with the other side, with angels, with guides, with really helping us with our psychic sensing, with our gifts of mediumship. And like I said, there's no magic wands, there's no magic pills. It just is a supportive energy, and it is a reminder, and it is a tool. There's still stuff we got to do ourselves. So kyanite is typically a blue, it's kind of a mineral stone, unpolished. I do have an unpolished one, just not in reach. It's kind of like selenite, like flaky, a little bit splintery. But polished, it can actually be used in jewelry, which is this one I have right here. If you can see it, those of you that have the video version, there is a deeper blue underneath, but you can almost see this kind of whitish on top, which when it's not polished is the part that's very splintery and could be flaky and scaly and flake right off. It's typically a deep to medium blue. Larimar is another. That's the stone. Oh, I have one in the other room that I was going to bring out, but I didn't. Larimar is this swirling blues and whites. It's almost kind of aquamarine, but not quite. For me, I always think of it as like Caribbean Ocean. Like it looks like a little stone of the Caribbean Ocean inside of it. So it's this really beautiful sort of aquamarine in color stone with these whites swirling. It looks watery. It's a really beautiful stone. Labradite is another one. I actually have one here for those of you, I'm going to reach it. For those of you watching on the video version, this is actually blue labradite. Labradite actually is often a deep blue, almost greenish stone, and it often over the top layer of it has this like iridescent blue, green, and spots. I really love this. This one actually technically is blue labradite, which just means it's a little more blue toned and maybe not quite as deep as some of the other labradites, but it has this really lovely iridescent kind of rainbow-esque over the top of it. This one sits on my desk all the time. I just really love it. I felt really drawn to this stone. I have a great place where I get stones here in San Diego for actually quite a ridiculously reasonable price. So it lets me have a few more than I might otherwise. But labradite is pretty available. So that's one that a lot of people can kind of easily get. Sometimes you'll see me wear a labradite ring as well. I just really like the iridescent blues that run over the top of it. Feel really beautiful to me. And the last one on my little list, and again, this is not an exhaustive list, it's any blue stone or any stone that's got the blues in it will help, and you can work with Gabriel with. Sodalite is the other, which is deep to light blue. It's sometimes swirled with white. It sometimes looks like it has almost like lightning strikes of dark or white or different blues through it. It's really beautiful. Sodalite's another one that is fairly easy to get and fairly inexpensive. So, and again, you can search any of these names of stones and see pictures of what they look like. You might even already have one or more of these kind of hanging out as a stone that you felt drawn to at some point, and you likely could pretty easily find some of these, especially in the smaller stone. I don't have any in reach that are these, but in the very like small pocket stones that you could just tuck in your pocket. It doesn't have to be a big giant stone. Any little bit will do. And again, you don't have to work with stones at all if you don't want to. Just another option for you. So for me, I typically recognize Gabriel in these blue colors and blue light energy, often metallic blue. So when you're working with Gabriel and calling Gabriel in, I wouldn't be surprised if you get shades of blue, of metallics, whether it's like a metallic blue or just the metal colors themselves, silver, gold, copper, like we were talking about. We're going to, in just a second here, have a little bit of an experience because I want to teach you a tool so you can call in Gabriel. This tool, we're actually going to focus on requesting that Gabriel help with communication of some kind. So we're going to call Gabriel in. I'm going to give you a little bit of an experience. And then the encouragement is to take a few moments when you can to let Gabriel inspire you, whether it's writing inspiration or whether it's next steps inspiration or whether it's something that you want to communicate to yourself, something Gabriel wants to communicate to you, or a message that you're trying to communicate in the world. It doesn't have to be all of those. I know that's a lot of things. If you're somewhere safe to do so, we're going to close our eyes in just a second. If you are driving or walking or operating anything at all, I would suggest pausing here and coming back when you are in a safe, quiet place to do just a few minute meditation. This is not going to be a long one. I really just want to teach you how to call Gabriel in and how you might experience Gabriel But again, I strongly encourage you to over time sit with Gabriel so that you can get a sense of what Gabriel feels like, how you might recognize Gabriel, how Gabriel comes to you, so that you can work with Gabriel in like an active way. Gabriel's such a powerful archangel to work with. So I'm gonna take another sip, get settled into your cozy seat. Sitting up is better for meditation. Laying down, if we're any bit tired at all, we often can just knock right out and fall asleep. Don't beat yourself up if you fall asleep during a meditation. It just means that you are too tired to hold your energy, and that's okay. Come back again. It's all a practice, and don't expect perfection. We are on a continuous journey in this way. It's not a get it right or else with any of this. So just gently start to let your eyes rest closed and take a few breaths here, just being with yourself in your own space. You can say hello to your auric field, which is your personal space bubble, that energy just around you, and just imagine, sense, feel that personal space bubble of yours, and just let it be just about an arm's distance away. So kind of sitting in an arm's distance wide egg of your own personal energy, the energy of your own soul, the energy of you. And take a few breaths here. Good. And then just off to the left, if you don't know which is your left from your right, don't worry about it. But if you do, just from the left, from just off in the distance, just imagine a beautiful, sparkling, shimmering, metallic light. Mine is blue. If yours is a different color, that's okay. And just in your heart of hearts, from your soul, imagine requesting Gabriel to come closer. Let yourself feel the gentle excitement about getting to work with Gabriel. Gabriel is a wonderful powerhouse that loves us so much. And let that little light off in the distance start moving closer and closer, gently, comfortably, easily. And as it gets closer, you notice that it is even bigger than you thought it was from a distance, like most things. And as Gabriel moves closer on your left side, imagine expanding your personal space bubble just a little bit to make space for Gabriel beside you on your left side. Good. Yeah, and then invite Gabriel to sit right next to you on the left. If your left palm is open, you can invite Gabriel to help you understand a sensation or a gentle tingling or an awareness of that left palm. The only reason for this is just as a little hello. It's not something you always have to do. We have ambient noise where I am, of course. Perfect timing as always. And maybe it's made you laugh. Maybe it's made you smile. Gabriel is right now wanting to remind us that, yes, he brings serious messages, but also with a playful, loving spirit. Gabriel's a party waiting to happen. And maybe you can feel Gabriel on your left side, sense gently. Remember, this is a very subtle energy in the way we experience it in our human body. So perhaps there's just an awareness of your left arm or of your leg or hip or shoulder on that side of your head. And just set the intention that over the next hour, few hours, rest of your day, depending on what time of day it is for you. If it's evening, you can even set it overnight or into the next day. I don't like to set work when I'm having dream time. I like to rest. So you can ask Gabriel to work with you the next day if it's late for you. Just set the intention that Gabriel is going to help you with something that you're working on communicating right now. Maybe it's something you haven't even quite defined or identified in your own space. Maybe it's a message of hope that you need to hear from within. Maybe it's a message that you want to share with someone that you care about, but you need to share it in the most loving and highest and greatest intention possible. And just feel Gabriel now even a little bit more solid. Remember, Gabriel also helps and represents foundation for us. Foundation for that tree of life. And just take a few more breaths here, just having your awareness on your left side, being aware of that space next to you on the left. Even if you feel like you can't sense Gabriel, just imagine Gabriel to your left. Just know that at just the call, just the intention, just your desire, that Gabriel will slide right into your left or to your side. It doesn't have to be left. Whatever side you feel Gabriel on right now is perfectly fine for you. And you can even ask Gabriel to show you or draw your attention to beautiful blue items in your awareness through the rest of the day. Good. And if you're someone who is a writer or journals at all, you can ask Gabriel to inspire you sometime over the rest of the day to write down some notes or some thoughts or some out-of-the-box solutions that are creative and in the highest good of everyone involved. Good. And just take a few more breaths here. If there's something specific you want to request Gabriel's guidance and assistance with, you can share it with Gabriel now. You don't have to say it aloud. You can say it from your heart. You can think it. And imagine giving over to Gabriel any resistance you have, any of that self-doubt that rises up of, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm making this up. I don't know if I can actually receive Gabriel. Hand that over to Gabriel too. Let Gabriel help you move that energy, help you move through that resistance. And maybe you're already receiving communication. I can feel some of you will be already receiving some loving inner talk, inner messages, inner thoughts from Gabriel. Messages of love, of support, of encouragement. Some of you can even ask Gabriel to help you with that inner self-talk, to notice when you're being harsh and unloving on yourself, and to help you put in a new version of self-talk that is more positive, that is more in alignment with your highest good. Good. Just imagine sending love and gratitude from your heart, from your soul to Gabriel next to you. And imagine Gabriel sharing with you love, support. You might even feel it starting to gently wrap around you. Good. You might feel more calm. You might feel more hopeful. You might really be aware of your left palm right now. Just know this is a first practice, and you can practice many, many more times and have more of an understanding over time. And thank Gabriel for joining us, and just imagine asking, inviting, intending Gabriel to gently slide out of your personal space bubble and to move out of your awareness. You might see that little light start to move back off into the distance, or you might just gently sense Gabriel moving out of your space, returning to just you in that personal space bubble, just you in that space right around you. Good. And when you're ready, you can gently blink your eyes open, coming back to me. That is just a quick little exercise of a way you can call Gabriel in and invite Gabriel to be working with you. You can do it right before you journal, or right before you write some thoughts, or right before you brainstorm. Or like we talked about in that meditation, you can invite Gabriel to help you notice things that are blue in your space for the rest of the day as just a little hello from Gabriel. So I hope that you have learned something. And again, you can call in any of the angels that way, ask them for help with whatever they work with us, or for help with anything at all, but no magic pills, no magic solutions. So I want to set your expectations appropriately. And again, remember, it's a practice. So if you feel like, oh, I'm not sure if I did it, I'm not sure if I got it, one, just trust that it's happening. Trust that over time, with a collection of experiences with Gabriel, that you will start to understand, oh, okay, that's how Gabriel nudges me and helps me. And it doesn't even always have to be a conscious recognition of, oh, Gabriel's here, I'm gonna receive a message about communication. It's much subtler than that. It's much lighter than that. It's often much more in the background than that, where we can make the request and then it'll just kind of come into our space throughout the day. It might even be, we're talking about that self-talk, that inner talk. It might even be that over the next few days, you start to realize or start to become aware of, oh, I just realized I said an insult to myself, or I put down to myself, or I had like a little negative thought about myself in there. Okay, just an awareness, right? So all of this takes time, takes practice, takes openness on our part. So be gentle with yourself and loving with yourself. That is what is in your highest good. I hope that you enjoyed our little chat about Gabriel and maybe learned a little bit of something, and at least have a tool that you can practice and play with on your own time. If you know someone that wants to start working with archangels, please send them this episode. If you would review the podcast, I would love that. And please let me know if you want to start on our little solo chats together. If you want to start hearing little bits about me or my opinions or my little life over here. If you don't, I won't take offense. That's okay too. If you're like, no, just keep this purely educational, like a resource, like a talk, and no need to share about your life, Joy. That's fine too. You can, like I said, email me, joy@joyfulmedium.com, and let me know your thoughts, because I'm creating all of this for you. Big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.